Hi, Alan here, and I've got some recent RV travel that I'm going to be sharing with you. This is Alan from RVacrossamerica.net. The video, by the way, is sped up about 20%, so if it looks like I'm driving fast, I'm not. But I did that so that I could keep the timeline on this video reasonable. If you like the video, please like it, subscribe, and share. If you're seeing this on rvacrossamerica.net/beaver, please click on the watch on YouTube button that's on the video, and that'll bring you over to the actual video, and then you can like, subscribe, and share. So again, the rest of the story is at rvacrossamerica.net/beaver. This is early morning in the town of Beaver, Utah. It's about an hour and a half or so north of St. George. So it's south central Utah. This is driving over to the swimming pool that's in Beaver. Swimming pool in Beaver. Beaver is a small town, about 3,500. And again, the post is going to have all the backstory. It's going to have photos. You're entering now the Beaver Canyon Campground, and it's a real throwback. It might have been a KOA at one time. There's a woman named Maria who owns it. She is a great person. She's got a restaurant on site called Maria's, and it's a Mexican restaurant, and it's really good. And the um, the nearest I can describe Beaver Canyon Campground is it's a summer beach club type environment. There's RVs. Instead of having cabanas, there's RVs. People are there. This is like an hour later from when I pulled back in. That swim, by the way, was at about 7 o'clock in the morning, which at the end of October, that's when this was recorded, is dark. It's a bright blue sky day, a brilliant blue day. This is driving through the Beaver Canyon Campground. Again, I'm not driving that fast. It's sped up video by about 20%. You can see all these campers here. Now, the actual residents of the campers are not there. They are largely summertime residents, but they leave the campers there full time. Now we're entering Beaver Canyon. That's really the main focus of this video. Beaver Canyon is by far and away one of the most spectacular canyons I've ever driven up. You start at 6,000 feet in the town of Beaver, and you ultimately end up at 10,000 feet. And there's a pretty significant fork that cuts off towards an area called Kent's Lake. It's Kent's Lake Road. That's where we're going to be exploring in this first video. There is a bonus video, if you will, on rvacrossamerica.net/beaver. And that video offers some panoramas of some of the places I stopped, including Eagle Point Ski Area, which is up at about 10,000 feet. They were not open at the time. In fact, you'll see probably about as much snow as they have right now. I'm recording this in the middle of January, and this was virtually a snowless winter so far. I'm in Parowan right now, and we've got nothing on the ground. In fact, it's going to be 48 degrees today, and even above freezing up at Bryan Head, the ski area near here. The snow level on October 30 was at about 6,500 feet. You can see a sugar coating of snow for October 30. It's a very chilly day. Temperatures are in the low to mid 30s as I climb, and we'll be climbing a bit more. By the way, again, the post has some photos, backstory, and a map to show you the area, or maybe a couple of maps. Still working on that. So this is the fork that goes up Kent's Lake Road. The main canyon you'll see in a second video that I'll be producing in the near future. But right now we're heading up the side fork. It's a little bit of a south-southeast travel. We're heading towards Little Reservoir. That's the first stop that I made, and where I also shot a panorama. There's another panorama I shot that was in this immediate area, but we're headed towards Little Reservoir here. Real neat area. I, of course, headed up thinking about where might I kayak if I stay in the Beaver area for an extended period. There's a couple of really good campgrounds, including Beaver Canyon Campground, and that's the nearest one. There's a lake about 10 miles outside of town that's essentially a county lake, and that's also a really cool place to stay. But of course, you have to travel about 10 miles to get back into town, and you are still 10 miles further from all this. So if you're at Beaver Canyon Campground, you are right there. And by the way, Beaver has two or three other RV parks. They're not nearly as historic or scenic as Beaver Canyon Campground, but hey, to each his own. The Little Reservoir was a really cool place. It was neat to stop at. We're stopping here now. I took a walk around. Again, you've got photos when you go over to the post, rvcrossamerica.net/beaver. And the I could see kayaking there. It's very, very beautiful. It's about, oh, I don't know, 6,500, 7,000 feet above sea level. And this is now getting back on the road. You're going to see the snow increase. You're going to see snow on the road. The temperature actually dropped below freezing. And this is as we get later in the morning, to the point where when I was up at Kent's Lake at 8,800 feet, there was extensive snow cover. And the temperature, I think, was in the upper 20s. I've got it recorded in the video here. And I had thought about doing some kayaking. The mud, which caused me to slip and kind of hurt my backside a little bit for one fall when you're in your mid 60s, it does tend to sting for a few days, and it did for a couple of weeks, but I recovered. You can even see snow in the trees here. I mean, it looked like winter. It looks more like winter on October 30 as I recorded this than it does right now in the middle of January. It's unbelievable. And the long-range computer models that I just looked at suggest that it's going to stay dry for at least the next 2 weeks. We're going to have a few warmer days. We're going to have some very cold days, days where temperatures up at Bryan Head at 10,000 feet is not going to exceed much over 10 degrees Fahrenheit, but no new snow. So again, as we're climbing up here, it's beautiful. There are some homes that you'll encounter along the way. I'm not sure if they're equipped for four-season living. I don't know that this road is open during the winter. I suspect it is at least part of the way. But even on October 30, I mean, again, you'll see patches of snow collecting on the road right here as we climb up. Naturally, I'm in a 4x4 truck, so it'll go anywhere. And of course, being October 30, the ground was not frozen, which explains the slip and fall I took up at Kent's Lake. So there is mud on the road, but again, 4x4 in this truck, and you can climb virtually anything. So we're headed farther up. Now, Kent's Lake is really three separate lakes. There is a lower Kent's Lake, there's Kent's Lake, and there's upper Kent's Lake. So for clarification, you'll see indication on the screen when we reach each. There is a campground that is, I believe, between Lower Kent's Lake and Kent's Lake. It was guarded off even at this time, October 30, and that's probably National Forest Service that's controlling that. There are a number of campgrounds that are along this fork and also further up into the actual Beaver Canyon, which again you'll see in video too. And most of those, if not all of those campgrounds, are dry camping. You can see here, Lower Kent's Lake. I indicate no easy access, simply meaning that me and my lazy butt did not want to park there and drag a kayak the distance that you would need to drag it in order to get it into the water. I kind of like parking right next to the water, and you'll see with Kent's Lake and Upper Kent's Lake that that is possible. We're on the way further up a little bit. And again, we're headed towards about 8,800 feet as we get up to Upper Kent's Lake. Kent's Lake, Lower Kent's Lake, and Upper Kent's Lake are all within a few hundred vertical feet of each other. Um, so we're at this point almost as high as you're going to get. When you turn off to the other two lakes, they're a little bit larger than Lower Kent's Lake. They're still not large lakes. I mean, you could definitely do an entire lap around the perimeter of the lake in a matter of probably 15 to at most 30 minutes. But it's scenic. It is crystal clear skies, bluebird day, except for a few clouds building up now. And that was another reason I decided not to kayak because I saw the clouds beginning to build. It's just your garden variety cumulus clouds. And I didn't suspect any risk of precipitation, most likely snow under these conditions. However, the breeze did pick up, and when the air temperature is close to freezing or just below, it does not take much wind to create enough of a wind chill that you really don't feel like being in a kayak in the middle of a lake in shorts and on in sandals. That's pretty much what I wear when I kayak. So again, there's no camping actually at the lake, but you can see how close you are to the water when you pull in here. I'm sure this is a very popular summer destination spot. I may return to enjoy it either in mid-spring or after the mud season, or in the autumn. And of course, there won't be much of a mud season this year if we don't get some snow soon. This is headed out from Kent's Lake. Again, you can see it, and that's my note, 28 degrees. So now I remember. You can see the lake is right next to you. You could park in that parking spot that I was just at. Probably accommodates 10, 20 cars max, and you're right next to the water, so it's no big deal to get a kayak into the water. And again, when I was there, the water was still water; it was not frozen. There is one lake a little further up near Eagle Point that was frozen or freezing over, which actually surprised me for October 30. While this had gotten cold, it was a short, sharp snap. It was actually one of the more significant snowfalls we've had all winter, and that's what enabled Brian Head to open up on November 8th. Eagle Point didn't even think about opening until December 20. I suspect that their snowmaking is pretty limited over there. From what I understand, it's a pretty cool place to ski, pretty interesting place, and that's something I hope to maybe take part in before the winter is over here and we see what comes up for next winter. I don't know where I'll be and whether I'll stay this far south next winter for skiing. You do have to get up around 10,000 feet, and the elevation, of course, is always a factor. I'm handling it pretty well. I've had a number of ski guests that have had mixed reactions to being up at 10,000 feet when they show up, and the next morning they're up at 10,000 skiing, and if they're a beginner, they're working hard. So, that's the nature of skiing at high elevation. Bryan Head itself, by the way, has a vertical drop of about 1,300 feet. So the peak of the mountain is about 11,000. And the base where we work is actually maybe 100 or 200 feet below 10,000 feet. But for all practical purposes, that doesn't really make much of a difference. So, you're at Upper Kents Lake here. This is nearing the end of our journey. And again, I'm Alan, rvacrossamerica.net. And you can find my post at rvacrossamerica.net/Beaver. And again, Beaver itself is a town of about 3,500 people. I detail a couple of places probably worth visiting in town. It's a pretty self-contained town because there's nothing near it. It's about 40 miles from Parowan and about 55 miles from Cedar City, which is the nearest town of any great significance. So stay tuned for part two. Go visit the post, give me a like, share, etc. And hey, thanks for watching.